Hello and welcome to another session in mathematics. In this session, our topic will be simple interest. Simple interest. But before that, let us take a review of our previous lesson. Welcome back. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at terms like principal, rate, time, and what? Interest. Okay, under simple interest. So let's begin with the definition of these terms before we go over to solving. We have terms like what? Interest. Now, when a person borrows money from another, the lender usually makes charge on the use of the money. Okay, now the charge is what we call what? The interest. The charge placed on an amount of money given to the borrower, we call that what? Interest. Then we have what we call what? The principal. Principal. Now the principal is the initial money borrowed. Okay, the amount borrowed. That's what we call what? The principal. Why the charges added to this borrowed amount is what we call what? Interest. Okay, then we have what we call amount. Amount is the sum of the principal and the interest at any given time. The sum of what? Interest and what? The principal. So we say it's what? Is principal plus what? Interest. Okay, the sum of principal and what? Interest. Principal and interest. Okay, then we have what we call time. And the time is the specified period that the money will last in the man's hand, in the hand of the borrower. Okay, it can be in days, weeks, months, or years. Then lastly, we have what we call rate. Okay, the amount of interest in terms of certain percentage of the principal is what we call rate. Okay, the amount of what? The interest in terms of what? Percentage. In terms of percentage, we call it what? Rate. So simple interest is the interest due on the original sum. Simple interest is given generally to be SI. That is simple interest, where the formula is principal times time times rate all over 100. Okay, that's the general formula. Principal times time times rate all over what? 100. Okay, now from this from the formula we use in finding the simple interest, we can also derive the formula for solving for time, principal, amount, and the rest of them. So we have a simple interest to be principal times T times R. If we make P, assuming we are solving for P, which is the principal is equal to 100I all over TR. Then if you are solving for rate, which is R, is equal to 100I all over PT. If you are solving for your T, which is time, it's equal to 100I all over PR. And remember that I here is what? The simple interest. Okay, so these are the formulas you need to have at the back of your mind even as we go on. So let's take some examples. Number one, find the simple interest on a loan of $6,000 for 36 months at 7.5% per annum. Okay, find what? The simple interest on this loan of $6,000. So first of all, what we need to do is to bring out what? Our time. Our time is equal to what? They gave it to us to be what? 36 months. But we need to solve what? In years. And 36 is in months. So for the years, how many months are there in a year? 12. We divide 36 by 12, and that will give us what? 3 years. So the time is what? 3 years. And then we have our what? Principal, which is 6,000 US dollars. We have our rate, which is what? 7.5%. And 7.5 is equivalent to 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1, 15 over 2, okay, percent. Now we then apply the simple interest, which is principal times rate times time all over 100. Okay, what would that give us? Our principal is 6,000. Our rate is what? 15 over 2, and our time is what? Is 3 all over 100, and this will give us 6,000 times 15 times 3 all over 2 times 100. Okay, and that will give us 6,000 times 15 times 3 divided by 200. We have 1,350 in what? Dollars, US dollars. Okay, and that's just the answer. Number 2, find the time. Now the first one, we were looking for what? The simple interest, but now we are looking for what? The time in which 1,400 US dollars will amount to 1,600 and what? 80 at 4% per annum. At 4% per annum. Now our simple interest is equal to what? A minus P. What's our A? Our A is the amount, and then our P is the principal. So we have our A, which is amount, to be 1,680, then minus the principal, right, which is equal to 1,400, and we have 280 US dollars. Remember, I told us when we are starting that amount is equal to principal plus what? Plus what? Interest, right? But now we are trying to make the interest the subject of formula, so it will not be what? Simple interest will then be equal to principal amount minus what? Principal. That's how we got this A minus P. Okay, in case you are confused. And then at this point we've gotten our simple interest. Then our time, I told us that our time is what? This is the formula we use, right? 100I all over what? PR. 100I all over PR. So we have 100 times our I is what? 280, which is a simple interest, 280 all over P. What's our P? Our P is what? 1,400 times our R, which is what? 4%. 4. Okay, and then if you calculate this, what will it give you? To give you what? 5 years. 5 years. Very, very simple. Okay. Number 3, the sum of money invested at 5% per annum simple interest amounts after 3 years to 368 US dollars. Find the sum invested. Find the sum invested. Okay, let us start. The simple interest in 1 year, remember, is what? Is 5%. Right? 5% of what? The principal. 5% of the principal. Now, in 3 years, it will not be what? 5 times what? 3, which is equal to 15%. Right? Because they said the sum of money invested at 5% per annum simple interest amounts after what? 3 years. So for 1 year, it is what? 5%. Then for these 3 years, it will not be 5% times what? The 3 years. And that's how we got what? 15% of the principal. Of the principal. So that is what? The amount therefore is 100 plus 15, which will give us 115%, okay, of the principal. Okay, since I told us that amount is equal to what? Principal plus what? Interest, right? Principal plus what? Interest, and the principal is 100%, right? Then the interest is this 15%. percent now we are talking about. We just got here. That's how we got 115. Okay, and then to find the principal, then we'll have 115% of the principal. We'll have 115% of principal to be 368 what? US dollars. 368 US dollars. So it means that the principal then will be equal to 100 over this 115 times 368, and that will give us 320 US dollars as our answer. Okay, thank you for being part of today's class. We'll stop here today. Before we go, kindly provide the answer to the following questions on the screen. Welcome back. So far we've been able to deal with simple interest. In our next class we'll go over to compound interest. So do well to use the lesson note on the platform for better information on what we've done, and feel free to leave a comment or question on the comment section. Till we meet again, stay safe and bye.